When you're in a corporate environment, it's important to remember that creativity is essential to your corporate success. We live in a world where innovation occurs so rapidly that if we're in a company that is not constantly pushing forward new ideas and new products and new services and new ways of thinking about things, then the companies we work for, the companies we start, get left behind relatively soon. Because if we don't innovate, our competitors will, and pretty soon we won't have a competitive offering for the market. So to make sure that your company has sort of a DNA of creativity and innovation, you have to do certain structural things, and this is a good list of them that we'll kind of go through and talk about. But one and first and foremost is to make innovation and creativity an important core value within the company. And that isn't something you just say, it's something you do. And when I say do, you have to do specific things to make it. You can't just make, paste a note on the wall that says we are now an innovation-oriented company. There are other things that you have to do to craft the culture and support that culture of innovation. And hiring for creativity means specifically hiring people that have creative skills, as well as hiring diversity. People from different backgrounds, different skills, different educational backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, different skill sets, and different companies. You can't have everybody coming up through the corporate ladder, because there's a corporate think, a group think thing that happens with, if you come in, you need people coming into the company from outside as well as coming up through the company ladder. There's lots of different ways that you have to think about diversity and embrace diversity if you're going to have a truly diverse and creative company. You have to both nourish and reward creativity. You have to expect failure and expect creativity at the same time. And creativity means that you're not always going to think of great things. You're going to think of things, you're going to try things that seem like they're great, but somehow in the execution or the engineering or the implementation, somewhere in that process, sometimes things aren't going to work. Even great minds thinking about things and trying to figure everything out aren't going to always think of everything. And then there's the customer. The customer may not think the same way you do. So it's important that you allow for failure. Again, you don't ever reward failure, but you don't punish failure. You have to allow failure to happen and have to look at it from the perspective of, okay, what did we learn that can help us improve the next iteration so that we can get to the end game? Now, you also have to be willing sometimes to pull the plug, because sometimes the idea that you have doesn't pan out. You don't want to just keep going down a path of trying to create something and pushing and pushing and pushing. Ultimately, there has to be a want. You might think that you figured out what the market needs, but if the market doesn't want what you have developed, then it doesn't matter how much they need it. You're going to have a constant uphill battle trying to push a product that the market needs into the market. If you can't fairly quickly and easily convert the need into a want in the consumer's mind, it doesn't matter how creative and innovative your new product or service is, you may end up having to pull the plug on it. You want it to be fun, and you want to encourage curiosity in the workplace. And again, you want to allow for that and support that in the workplace. Okay, let me see how I get this to move forward. All right. Another thing is some more things to think about, or to view problems as opportunities. In fact, the word, you've heard this, I'm sure, before, the Chinese word for crisis incorporates danger and opportunity in the same concept of the word. View problems as opportunities. Provide training on how to solve problems creatively. Eliminate the bureaucratic processes that inhibit thinking, Bureaucratic processes exist in all companies of almost any size. They're not just limited to large companies or limited to corporate or to governmental organizations. Bureaucracy is basically policies that become so entrenched that people just don't truly understand why that policy was generated, and they're not capable or willing to ask, is this policy appropriate for this particular situation? You know, you've also heard it said that the Lord gave us two ears and one mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we talk. Well, you especially should engage your customers and listen to your customers. There's no richer source of innovative ideas than your customers. Your customers will complain to you about little things. They may not be big things. They may not be the kinds of things that your customer gets really truly upset about, but they'll let you know about little things. In fact, every time a customer complains about some aspect of your product or service, it's an incredible opportunity for you to change your perspective, and instead of fighting or resisting or taking offense at what the customer says, flip it around and say to yourself, this is an opportunity for me to improve my product. This is an opportunity for me to improve my product or my service or some process that I have inside of my company that caused this lack of appreciation, this point of failure. And you have to really thank the customer for taking the time to let you know of a failure or a failing or a weakness in some aspect of what you're offering to them, because they're really doing you a valuable service. Unfortunately, and it's really easy, I've done it as well, you can often get into the mindset of thinking, oh, but if the customer had just learned or had just done it this way, or if they had just tried harder, or if they'd been a little bit smarter, oh, but if. And you're placing the blame at that point on the customer, where the failing is on your company, your product, and your service. It's a really hard mindset for a lot of business owners to get past, because the business is their baby. And when a customer complains about your baby, you want to go, well, my baby's beautiful. And you know what they're telling you is, yeah, your baby's pretty good looking, but there's a wart on the end of its nose, and we need to address that wart. I don't know if that's a very good analogy, but it's probably the best I can think of at the moment. The point is listen to your customers. Not only do they have ideas for new products and services that can give you opportunities for new revenues, but they're going to tell you where you're failing, and that is a wonderful opportunity for you to smooth out the process and make the process or the product better. Stay connected to the market, stay connected to your industry, stay up with what's going on. There's always new stuff, and you should be constantly listening and watching for new trends in your industry and in other industries that'll spark a thought in your mind. Look for new ways to use your product and services in new markets where you're not currently. And again, and this is an important one, reward your employees for creativity. Your employees and reward customers when they come up with good ideas, but especially your employees. Your employees are your intellectual property reservoir.